She pulled away, and now the panic sets in. Your mind races. Should you block her? Should you beg for another chance? Should you send that one last text to make her understand? But what if I told you that doing nothing yet, doing it the right way, is the real power move? There's a strategy that keeps your dignity intact, sparks curiosity, and flips the entire dynamic in your favor. The moment you apply this, she won't just notice your absence. She'll start to feel it stay with me, because once you do this, everything changes. Let's get into it. The power of doing nothing. Number 1. The power of doing nothing. First things first. When she pulls away, do nothing. No desperate texts, no long paragraphs, no angry reactions. Why? Because when emotions are high, logic is low. A Stoic man doesn't react. He observes if she's stepping back. Give her all the space in the world. Let her wonder why you're not running after her. That's how curiosity begins. Think about it when someone expects a reaction and doesn't get one. Their mind starts working overtime. She might expect you to beg to chase, to throw yourself into an emotional whirlwind trying to fix things. But when you do the opposite, when you hold your ground and embraces silence, something interesting happens. She starts questioning, she starts remembering, she starts wondering if she made the right decision by pulling away. This is where you separate yourself from every other man out there. Most guys react instantly, driven by their emotions, desperately trying to regain control. But a man who understands the power of restraint, he communicates something much deeper: self-respect, confidence, and an unshakable sense of worth. And women notice that Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In this case, the best response is not to react emotionally like most men would. Instead, embody calm detachment. Imagine two men in the same situation. One is sending text after text, feeling powerless, driven by fear. The other, he's out living his life, improving himself, focusing on what he can control. Who do you think is more attractive in the long run? Here's an example. A woman pulls away from a guy she was talking to. Maybe things got too serious too quickly. Maybe she lost interest. Maybe she just wants to test his reaction. If he immediately floods her phone with messages or starts acting like she's his whole world, what does that tell her? It tells her that he has no control over his emotions, that he's too available, too eager. But if instead he leans back, gives her space and keeps moving forward, now she's the one left with unanswered questions. When you don't block her, when you don't beg, but instead hold steady, you let her feel the weight of her own decisions. Silence isn't passive. It's powerful. It forces her to reflect, to process, and to feel the natural pull of uncertainty. And that uncertainty is what draws people back. In a Stoic, man knows that he doesn't need to chase someone to prove his worth. He knows that desperation never wins. In the long run, he trusts in himself and his value. So next time she pulls away, don't react. Just step back, do nothing, and watch. What happens? Number 2. Your attention is the real currency. A woman values what she has to. Your attention is the real currency. If she knows you're always available, she'll take you for granted. But the moment you withdraw your attention, that's when she starts noticing. A Stoic man never begs. He focuses on becoming a man of value. Think about it. When something is always within reach, we don't appreciate it as much. That's human nature. The same applies to relationships. If she knows you'll text first, that you'll always be there, waiting, she has no reason to miss you. But when you shift your focus away from her and onto your own life, that's when everything changes. Instead of texting her, invest that time into yourself. Hit the gym, work on your passion, improve your mindset. When you do this, something interesting happens. You become scarce, and scarcity creates value. She will notice your absence because it forces her to reflect on what she had. As Epicus wisely put it, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond control instead of trying to force an outcome or reacting to her behavior. Focus on what you can control yourself. Let her wonder why your attention has shifted. Let her sit with the silence where your presence used to be. That space isn't a punishment. It's a reminder that you are not dependent on her validation. A man who values himself doesn't need to chase. He simply becomes someone worth pursuing. Imagine you're always the first to text her. Good morning, ask how her day is going, or check in when she pulls away. Now stop, not in anger, not to punish her, but because your time and attention are valuable. Maybe a few days pass, maybe a week. Suddenly she starts thinking, why hasn't he texted? She might even test you, sending a casual message, just to see if you're still as eager. That's your moment to remain composed. No blocking, no begging, no emotional outbursts, just quiet strength. If she's truly interested, she will come back. If not, you've just saved yourself from wasting time on someone who didn't truly appreciate you. Either way, you win. Number 3, become. Become unpredictable. Unpredictable routine kills attraction. If she knows exactly what you'll do next, she won't feel that spark. So switch it up. If you used to text her daily, go silent for a while. If she expects you to respond instantly, take your time. Mystery is powerful. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be like a rock that waves crash against yet remain unshaken." Be that rock. Here's the thing, when a woman starts pulling away, most guys react out of fear. They panic, they chase, they beg. And what does that do? It confirms to her that she holds all the power, that you're predictable, that you can't live without her. But what happens when you stop reacting, when you become unreadable, when she expects you to reach out, but you don't, when she anticipates a long message, but you give her space instead? That's when the dynamic shifts. Think about it. If she's used to getting your attention on demand, she takes it for granted. But when you step back, she starts questioning, why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he reacting? Suddenly her curiosity kicks in. She starts wondering if you're moving on, if you found someone else, if maybe she misjudged your value. And that's where the real power lies. Not in begging, not in blocking, but in holding your ground. A Stoic man doesn't let his emotions dictate his actions. He doesn't act out of impulse or desperation. He understands that true strength is in control, in restraint. If she walks away, he doesn't fall apart because his happiness was never dependent on her in the first place. And that's exactly what makes him so damn attractive. A man who doesn't need validation, a man who moves with purpose, a man who remains calm while others panic. That's the kind of man she can't ignore. So instead of reacting, take a step back. Let silence do the work for you. Let her feel your absence, and watch what happens when she realizes that she was never in control of you to begin with. Number 4, upgrade yourself. Not upgrade yourself, not the conversation. The conversation. The best way to respond to her silence, level up. No, don't text her. Don't double-check if she saw your last message. Don't sit around wondering what she's thinking. Instead, shift that energy towards something that actually benefits you. Go to the gym and get stronger. Learn a new skill that adds value to your life. Dive into your work, your passions, your purpose. Attraction isn't about chasing, it's about presence. Think about it. When was the last time you were truly drawn to someone who was desperate for your attention? Probably never. Because deep down, we all respect and desire those who have their own gravity, their own momentum. The moment she sees you evolving without her, she'll start questioning if she made a mistake. Suddenly that silence she was so comfortable maintaining will feel uneasy. A Stoic man doesn't sit around analyzing what he can't control. He doesn't beg for attention or seek validation. Instead, he masters himself, as Epicus put it. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? That's the mindset. Stop waiting for external approval. Stop hoping someone else will recognize your value. Start acting like the man you're meant to be the moment you shift your focus inward and commit to growth. You'll realize that you never needed validation in the first place. You were always the prize. You just had to see it for yourself. Imagine she was used to you, always being available, always responding immediately, always trying to fix things. Now you've gone silent, not in a petty way, but in a way that speaks volumes. She checks your social media, and instead of sad quotes or indirect messages, she sees you out there, living. Maybe she sees you hitting the gym, leveling up, doing something new. That's when curiosity kicks in. She starts wondering, wait, is he really moving on? Was I wrong about him? Did I misjudge what we had? That's the moment the tables turn. So let's build yourself into someone so focused, so self-assured that she has no choice but to notice. And when she does, when she reaches out, you'll realize that you were never waiting for her to come back. You were too busy becoming the best version of yourself. Let her silence be your training ground. Let her distance be your fuel, because the moment you stop seeking, that's when you truly start attracting. Number 5. Let the world speak for you, speak for you. Women are drawn to men who are desired by others. It's not about bragging or trying to make her jealous. It's about genuinely living a life that speaks for itself. You don't need to block her, you don't need to beg, and you definitely don't need to chase instead. You show her without a word that you are a man whose life is thriving with or without her. Imagine this. She rejected you, or maybe she started pulling away. Your instinct might be to plead for her attention, to send long messages explaining how much she means to you. But pause for a second. What would a Stoic do? Would he scramble to convince her of his worth? No, he would remind himself that his value doesn't come from someone else's validation, but from how he carries himself, how he lives, and the energy he radiates to the world. So instead of reacting emotionally, shift your focus inward. Go out with friends and actually enjoy yourself. Take a trip somewhere new. Start that passion project you've been putting off. And yes, if it feels natural, share a moment of it, a photo, a thought, a glimpse into the life you're building, not to manipulate, but to express the truth. You are moving forward. Here's where it gets interesting when a woman sees that you are a man who is in demand, who is enjoying his life, who isn't desperate for her attention. Something shifts in her mind. Women are naturally drawn to social proof, to a man who others find intriguing. When she sees you engaging with others, when she notices that you haven't crumbled in her absence, curiosity kicks in. Wait, he's not chasing me. He's actually doing better. That's when the tables start to turn. The Stoic approach is simple. You don't need to prove yourself to her or anyone else. You just need to carry yourself with dignity, maintain your self-respect, and let your actions, not your words, do the talking. And when she realizes that you're a man she could lose, she'll feel it. Number 6. Less is more. The more, less is more available you are, the less valuable you seem. Make her work for your time. If she texts, don't rush to reply. If she asks to meet, don't always say yes. A king isn't always seen, but his presence is always felt. When you understand this, you'll stop chasing and start attracting. Think about it. What happens when something is always within reach? It's taken for granted. Imagine your favorite song playing on repeat every second of the day. At first you love it, but eventually you start tuning it out. It loses its magic. This is exactly what happens when you make yourself too available to a woman who isn't showing you the same level of interest. Don't block her. Don't beg her to stay. That's the mistake most men make. The moment they feel her slipping away, they panic. They start texting more, trying to explain, trying to fix things. But what does that do? It puts all the power in her hands. She now knows she can come and go as she pleases while you're there, waiting like a backup plan instead. Master the art of controlled distance. If she reaches out, take your time to respond. If she wants to meet, don't be so quick to say yes. Not because you're trying to manipulate her, but because you genuinely have a life that doesn't revolve around her. The moment she feels she can't predict you, she'll start thinking about you more, as Epicus wisely put it. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You can't dictate whether she stays or drifts away, but you have full control over your response. You don't have to beg, chase, or prove anything. True strength lies in maintaining your composure, in not letting external events shake your inner peace instead. Instead of reacting out of fear or insecurity, let your actions, or in this case your absence, speak for you. A man who truly values himself doesn't seek validation. He commands it effortlessly through his self-respect and discipline. Think about the times when someone ignored you or distanced themselves. It probably made you wonder about them more. That's human nature. When something isn't easily accessible, we crave it. Women are no different. When you stop chasing, when you create space, she has room to miss you. She starts to wonder what you're doing, who you're with, why you aren't running after her like every other guy. So just become scarce, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Be a man whose time is valuable, whose presence is a privilege, not a given watch. What happens when you stop making her the center of your universe? Suddenly, she's the one wondering where she stands with you. And that shift, that's when the power comes back to you. Number 7, rebuild your frame. If you let emotions control you, she'll see you as weak. But if you stand firm, unshaken, she'll respect you. Emotional control is key. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens, but how you react that matters." If she senses you've lost control, she'll lose attraction. Stay grounded. Think about it. What happens when you start chasing, when you let her rejection, her silence, or her cold behavior dictate your actions? You lose the very thing that drew her to you in the first place. Your presence, your composure, your sense of self. And yet so many men react to distance with desperation. They beg, they plead, they block, they try to force a reaction instead of understanding that true power comes from restraint. A woman doesn't lose respect because you didn't fight for her. She loses respect when she sees you crumble under pressure. Imagine two men. One gets rejected and instantly starts spamming messages, trying to prove his worth, hoping she'll see how much he cares. The other, he acknowledges the situation, accepts it without resistance, and continues moving forward with his life. Who do you think she'll think about when she's alone at night? Who do you think will stay in her mind, making her wonder if she made the right choice? This is where Stoicism separates the weak from the strong. The weak react, the strong remain unmoved, as Seneca wisely put it. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. So if she pulls away, if she stops responding, don't panic. See this as a test of your composure, your ability to hold your frame. Don't lash out. Don't block her to make a statement, and definitely don't beg for her attention. Instead, do the one thing she won't expect. Detach. Detach from the need to control the outcome. Detach from the fear of losing her. Instead of worrying about her absence, focus on your presence. Elevate yourself, level up. Become so focused on your own path that her silence becomes irrelevant. And here's the irony: when you stop chasing, when you stop reacting, when you stop caring so much, that's when the power shifts. She'll notice, she'll wonder, she'll start questioning why you're not reaching out, why you seem unbothered, why you're not like every other guy who falls apart the moment she pulls away. And that curiosity, that's what makes her come back. Not because you manipulated her, Not because you played some childish game, but because your self-control made you stand out. Because in a world full of men who seek validation, you became the one who didn't need it. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about living as an unshakable man. One who isn't swayed by emotions. One who understands his worth, doesn't depend on someone else's recognition. When you master this, when you truly embrace the idea that you are the prize, you'll see a shift, not just in how women respond to you, but in how you see yourself. Number 8. Re-engaging with purpose. When she finally reaches out, don't fall back into old habits. No long replies, no over-explaining. Keep it light, fun, and detached. Show her that you're not the same man she left. Play chess, not checkers. A Stoic man always moves with purpose. When a woman pulls away, your first instinct might be to chase to fix, to convince her why she made a mistake. But what does that do? It only confirms what she already believes, that she has the power, that you're waiting, that you'll always be there. That's checkers, a predictable emotional game. Instead, you play chess. You understand that attraction isn't built through convincing words, but through an unshakable presence, through control over yourself. Imagine this. She messages you after weeks of silence. Maybe she just says, hey. Maybe she throws in something like, hope you're doing well. Now most men would see this as an open door to pour their emotions out, to finally get closure. Or worse, to try and rekindle things by over-explaining. But you're not most men. You respond with a short, casual reply. Hey, been good, hope you're well too. And then you get back to your life. Why? Because a Stoic man knows that he cannot control her feelings. Only his own response. He remains grounded, unshaken, detached from the outcome she expects you to chase. But instead, you show her something unfamiliar, your absence of neediness, your ability to move forward without her validation. This is what makes her curious, makes her rethink when she sees that you haven't blocked her, haven't begged for her attention, but instead have simply been living with confidence and purpose. That's when the shift happens. The push-pull dynamic kicks in. She starts wondering if she was wrong, if she misjudged you. The same man she thought she had figured out is now unpredictable, mysterious. And if there's one thing that draws a woman in, it's the unknown. Just embody the calm strength of a man who knows his worth. If she comes back on new terms, yours. And if she doesn't, you've already won, because you didn't lose yourself in the process. Number 9, let her feel the consequences. If she rejected or disrespected you, let her feel what life is like without you. No explanations, no arguments, just absence. A true man doesn't convince a woman to stay. He allows her to choose, and if she realizes your worth too late, that's her lesson to learn. Not yours. Now I know the instinct to react is strong. Maybe you want to block her. Maybe you want to send that long message, explaining how she messed up. But listen, real strength isn't found in chasing or pleading. It's found in restraint, in walking away with dignity. Imagine Marcus Aurelius standing before an ungrateful crowd. Do you think he would beg them to recognize his wisdom? No, he would continue living by his principles, unmoved by their lay of appreciation. That's the kind of energy you need to embrace, instead of blocking her out of anger or begging her to see your worth. Let her experience the void you leave behind. Let her feel the silence. A woman expects a man to react when she pulls away. She expects desperation, frustration, even anger. But when you simply step back, when you remove your presence without a single word, that's when the real impact is felt. Picture this. She's used to your good morning texts, your calls, your constant presence. She assumes you'll always be there waiting. Then suddenly nothing. Days go by, a week, maybe 2. At first, she brushes it off. He's just trying to play it cool. But as time stretches on, a thought creeps in. Did I misjudge him? Did I lose him for good? That's when curiosity turns to uncertainty, and certainty that's powerful. It plants the seed of doubt in her mind, making her wonder if she made a mistake. The moment she starts second-guessing is the moment you regain control, not by force, but by the simple act of detachment. Epicus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Her choices, her actions, they are not within your control, but your response that is entirely in your hands. Number 10. Indifference is power. By the time she realizes indifference is power lost. You might not even care anymore, and that's the ultimate power move. The paradox of attraction is simple. The less you need her, the more she wants you. A Stoic man never chases. He builds, he grows, and he lets the right people come to him. Think about it. The moment you stop seeking validation, the moment you stop reacting to her absence, something shifts. Suddenly, you're no longer the predictable guy waiting by his phone hoping for a message. You're no longer the man she expects to be there, ready to beg or plead for her attention. And that mystery, that unshakable presence, it does something to her. It makes her wonder. It makes her question everything. Women are naturally drawn to strength, not just physical, but emotional. The man who can stand firm, who can embrace solitude without feeling desperate, is the man who commands respect when you don't block her, when you don't beg, when you simply carry on with your life as if nothing has changed. She starts to feel it. She starts to realize that she isn't as powerful over you as she once thought. That's when the tables turn. Imagine a man who, after being rejected or ghosted, doesn't react with anger, sadness, or desperation. He doesn't send long texts trying to explain himself. He doesn't lash out or try to force her into feeling guilty. Instead, he smiles, nods, and moves forward. He goes to the gym. He works on his business. He refocuses on his goals. He becomes the kind of man she regrets losing. That's the power of controlled detachment. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind. Not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is where you win, because while she expects you to crumble, to react emotionally, to give her the satisfaction of knowing she still holds influence over you, you simply don't. You're calm, you're collected, you are unmoved, and that, right there, is what will get her attention. Now let's be clear, this isn't a game, it's not manipulation, it's about shifting your mindset from someone who reacts to someone who leads. A man of value doesn't need to chase. He attracts. He doesn't beg for attention. He commands it simply by being. And that means the next time she pulls away, you don't need to block her. You don't need to beg. You don't need to do anything except live in such a way that she starts to feel your absence deeply. She'll check your stories. She'll check your stories. She'll revisit your messages. She'll wonder if you ever think about her. And when she finally reaches out, she won't be met with desperation. She'll be met with a man who has already moved on, who has already leveled up, and that's when she'll realize what she lost. But by then, the choice is yours, and there you have it. Conclusion: when she pulls away, the real power move isn't chasing, begging, or blocking. It's stepping back and letting her feel your absence the moment you stop reacting emotionally and start embodying true self-respect. The dynamic shifts women are drawn to, men who don't just talk about their worth, but actually live it. How many times have you seen a guy lose himself trying to hold on to someone who was already slipping away? But the man who holds his ground, who embraces silence, who remains unfazed, that's the one who commands respect. That's the one she remembers. So the lesson here is simple. Your value isn't up for debate. You don't have to convince her. You don't have to force an outcome when you master the art of emotional control. You'll see that the power was never in her hands. It was in how you carried yourself all along. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a situation where stepping back made someone realize your worth? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Let's build this conversation together. If you found this video valuable, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps spread the message. And if you haven't already subscribed for more content on relationships, self-mastery, and the Stoic approach to attraction, check out the recommended videos on your screen right now. They'll take you deeper into the strategies that will shift your mindset and your results. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and remember, your silence speaks louder than words.